Good evening and welcome to Current Issues. I'm your host, Hesham Tillawi. Welcome to the program, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, we continue our analysis of what is going on in the Middle East, in the Arab countries. The Arab Revolt of 2011. You know, the Arab Revolt, there was one back in the early 1900s, to help the British and the French to get rid of the Ottoman Empire, the Turks, that is. The Arab streets at that time were filled of revolutionaries, people who wanted to get out from underneath the dictatorship of the Ottoman Empire. England, you do remember Lawrence of Arabia, the man who got the trust of the Arabs to where they thought he was an Arab with blue eyes and blonde hair. The Arabs revolted back in those years, 1919, 1917. They got rid of the Ottoman Empire. They were promised they will be free. They were promised democracy. They were promised, actually, that they will have the Khalifa, that is, at least with the Sharif Hussein of Mecca in Saudi Arabia today. That's where Lawrence of Arabia had his Arabian Nights 1001. They trusted the British that the British were going to actually give them freedom. They were given to free people in Syria, in Lebanon, in Iraq, in Morocco, in Libya, in Algeria, and everywhere. And they were dancing in the streets because they were going to be free. The Arab Revolt, the Great Arab Revolution, it reminded me of what I'm seeing today on the streets of all of the Arab capitals. People wanting to get rid of the dictators that the great powers of those days had actually assigned to. See, after the Great Arab Revolution, the first one, that is, because what we are witnessing is the Great Arab Revolution Part 2. Now, after Part 1, after the Arabs were promised that they will be free, instead, dictatorships were put over them by the powers that promised them freedom. Actually, after the great Arab revolutions of the early 1920s and actually in like 1919, 1918, etc., 17, whatever it was, when they started working and sending, what's his name, Lawrence of Arabia, the Arabs went through, I guess you might say, a whole lot of going and coming until probably early 60s, when all these countries were actually finished forming. So it took them about 30 years, 40 years to finish after the dust have settled down, and you have the Arab countries of today. Well, today the same powers that showed mercy on the Arabs back then, these same powers are showing mercy on the Arabs now and wanted them to be free of the same dictator regimes that they had placed upon them. What a pity. So now we are to believe that the same England, the same France that divided the Arab world, the same Italy and the same Spain added to them the United States, the imperialist numero uno in the world. Now these people are showing sympathy. Fox Network is showing sympathy for the souls of Libya, these same Arabs, Muslims that they have been bashing for the last 11 years. Now the United States really cares for the souls of Libya. They care for the revolutionaries in Libya. Anderson Cooper, you watch his program and you think the guy is about to break down crying because he is so filled of emotions towards these Arab Muslims in Libya. Yeah, really. And you really want the Arabs to believe? You know, Fox Network had this Richard Krathmeyer on, the same talking heads that were there before, the same talking heads that were there before, telling you how bad Saddam Hussein was and telling you how horrible his regime was, that we needed to go there and kill him before they come and kill us on our streets. So now these same talking heads are showing sympathy. You know, Krathmeyer said that, and actually, incidentally, we apologize. We're not going to be able to show you some of the videos that we had prepared because, again, we are finding out that our equipment is not working properly, and it's a little bit too late when you have a live show to actually have it done, but hopefully we will figure out what in the world is happening with this equipment for next program, because we had many videos that we wanted to show you just to explain to you and kind of make it sink in, but we will try to do this just with pictures. Now let me show you some pictures from civilians in Iraq who actually died because of the United States. These same forces, the same force that are trying to liberate the Libyans now. See, these are American soldiers in Iraq. You know, now the same United States, now this was a helicopter, an American. We showed you this when we told you about the American Army. The same army that now cares for those poor souls in Libya and wants to actually liberate them from their dictator that the United States had enjoyed for 42 years getting there. These are the two reporters, Reuters. One is a reporter on the left and the other one on the right was the cameraman who you see in the middle of the screen now holding his camera. And now he's mowed down by United States Marines. Those were civilians. Now we're showing you this just to remind you that American Army did not care. The American Army did not care for civilians. So let's not cry over civilians in Libya as they were your own. And Anderson Cooper, you should not be full of emotions because the Libyan army or the regime of Muammar Gaddafi is doing that to his people. These are Americans, the same Americans that you are one of. Maybe you should have showed emotions when the American military mowed down these people, these civilians on the streets of Baghdad. Let's not talk about civilians dying, because the United States had killed over 1 million Iraqis, and we did not see anyone coming to save the Iraqis from the American army, the same imperialist army that is killing people in Afghanistan now. Let's not. We, the United States, does not have the moral standards to stand up and speak for the victims of Muammar Gaddafi, because the victims of Muammar Gaddafi, they are far less than the victims of the regime we have right here in the United States. Let's not talk of moral highness here, because we have no leg to stand on. So why is America doing what it's doing? Why is England doing what it's doing? And England, as a matter of fact, is moving some of its military pieces towards Libya. The United States sent 2 warships to be close to the shores of Libya. Italy is getting ready to do the same thing. Are we going to see a coalition here to rid Libya of its dictator? Now, why would they be going there to remove Muammar Gaddafi? For a very simple reason. It is time for the new Middle East that Condoleezza Rice and the neocons have spoke about 5 years ago. It is now time for the new Middle East that the neocons have spoke about in the Clean Break document. You know, I've talked to Middle Eastern leaders who are in the upper echelons of many regimes there. They never heard of the Clean Break document, and that was a pity. Because the Clean Break document is the document that is actually removing them one at a time. The plan to remove them, now this document was not in 2001. It was not in 2003 when the United States went and destroyed Iraq. It was in 1996, written by Zionists Richard Pearl, Douglas Feith, Paul Wolfowitz, et al. This document, it's documented and it's there. And it was written back in 1996 for Prime Minister Netanyahu, Benjamin Netanyahu. It is. Is it a coincidence that Benjamin Netanyahu is now the Prime Minister of England? That document that was written for him back in 1996, but they could not do it back in 1996 because the American president of that time, Mr. Clinton, did not allow the neocons to thrive in his administration. So they had to wait until they became part of George Bush, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. His first administration was full of them, full of the neocons, the same neocons who wrote the Clean Break document in 1996 but could not get the American President Clinton to perform. So they waited until George Bush. They did say that the regime in Iraq must go first, and it did. They did say that Iraq will be divided into 3 or 4 possible for that way. They said in that Clean Break document that removal of Saddam Hussein is an Israeli objective in its own. It was. And the objective now is to continue. They have taken in their strategies for Israel in the 1980s, but they are performing it in 2011. They said they're going to divide these countries. They're going to break these regimes. They talked about it. Ali Abdullah Saleh, the Yemeni president, yesterday, he accused the United States now, his country is being hit with demonstrations. The people are revolting against him. By the time it is over with, Yemen will be 2 Yemens, possibly 3 or maybe 4. It might take 10 years for the dust to settle, but that's what's going to be. Ali Abdullah Saleh, the Yemeni president, who accused the United States and Israel of actually stirring up demonstrations in his country to bring down his regime. Today he apologized. He apologized for Israel. He apologized for Israel and the United States. He called Washington today saying, I'm sorry. Actually, yesterday. He said it on Tuesday. He called Washington yesterday, Wednesday, and said, I'm sorry for the stuff I said. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm crazy. Can you keep me in power, please? Well, Mr. Ali Abdullah Saleh, let me give you the bad news. The decision is already taken to remove you from power. Just like the decision was taken to remove Saddam Hussein, Hosni Mubarak, Zain al-Abidin of Tunisia, Muammar al-Gaddafi, and many more to come. Just when it's time. Just like the angel of death when he arrives, you cannot run away. And Mr. Ali Abdullah Saleh, you should have continued with your speech of Tuesday when you accused the United States and Israel of instigating violence all over the Arab world so they can divide it and conquer it. In the meantime, the Arab streets will be the same Arab streets of the first great Arab revolution, when the English, Lawrence of Arabia and the cronies at that time, when they made the Arabs think that they are revolting against the dictatorship of the Ottoman, they're coming out from oppression, the sun will shine all over the Arab world. Since that time, the Arab people are still waiting for the sun to shine. Now they think the sun is shining. We see it. We see the rays. It's coming. This is the Arab Revolution. And I am sorry to tell you, you're going through the same thing. You're dancing and singing of joy. You are doing it. Many martyrs when the great Arab Revolution, the first one, died. By the thousands and the hundreds of thousands, they were shot to death. Either by the Turks, or by the British, or by the French, or by the Italians and the Spanish, etc., etc. The same imperialist powers that are telling you right now, rise, and the sun is yours. These are the same imperialist powers that divided you before. These are the same imperialist powers that wanted the resources of your countries. Don't believe for a moment that the United States and these powers, they need the oil in Libya. They need the oil in Libya. They are already rationing in Spain, in Italy, in Europe. They're rationing oil. They're going to go to that oil and get it. That is vital for them. It's not that they were not getting it before. They were getting it from Gaddafi. But the change has to be done. The change has to be done because, see, let me tell you a lesson in history. With the first great Arab Revolution, when Lawrence of Arabia went there and gave a story out of the 1001 Nights, Arabian Nights, for those of you who are familiar with those, he gave the Arabs the story, a glorious story of you will be free. You will be able to rule over this land, you, the Arabs. By the time the Arabs woke up in the 1930s, the Jews were 1/3 of Palestine. By the time they opened their other eye in 1948, the Jews had taken more than half of Palestine. Now they want the other half. They want the other half where the Palestinians are saying, we want this, not even half, it's like 22%. 22% that Israel is actually building settlements, increasing their numbers, like we told you last time, from few in the 1970s to about 1,092 to about 650,000 now. And by the time the dust settles down on the Arab countries, on the Arab world, it may not be even the Arab world. It may not be even referred to as the Arab world. We will have many countries who don't even know where Palestine is. And by the time we open our eyes from this Part 2 revolution, the rest of Palestine will be Israel. Now, how many people do you think are even thinking towards those lines? Not many. I can tell you one thing. I am not a popular guy on the Arab streets, but you know what? As I always said, I am not in a beauty pageant, and I will not be a candidate in the superstar program, so forget it. But I will continue showing you like someone with a flashlight, and eventually you will see it. Just like people, when we started here 9 years ago, when we started telling people about Iraq, when we started telling people about George Bush and the neocons, they thought we were crazy and we were un-American. Now people think I'm un-Arab because I am speaking the way I'm speaking. Everybody wants me to think that all these revolutions in the Arab world, they are purely people's revolutions. We have a lot of pictures to show you the chaos in all of these Arab countries, to show you what is happening in all of these Arab countries. But you know what? The thing is, it is done by the people, yes. The people need to revolt against these regimes, yes. The people need to rule themselves in democracy, yes. Will it happen? No. Because any regime that is going to be staged in Libya or in Yemen or in any of these Arab states, it will be a regime that Washington approved of. It doesn't matter what you say, because after all, the Arab revolutionaries, the first one, part one, when they woke up and find out that, well, wait a minute, we did this revolution against the Turks, and now we have England and France dividing our countries amongst themselves. So they revolted against it. And when they did, they had regimes, they were approved by the West, and they became dictators to serve the West. Very simple. So you're going to have some more of these regimes in the Middle East. Now, this was in Iraq, killed by the American army. But now this is in Afghanistan. A civilian killed by the American army. And so now the United States is trying to convince us that what we are seeing here is very much a people's revolution. Now, if this was a people's revolution, for those of you who know Joe Lieberman and John McCain, now Joe Lieberman was in Cairo. And we do have some video and we got some pictures to show Joe Lieberman in Cairo in Tahrir Square. Tahrir Square is ground zero for the Arabs, for the Muslims. Now this Zionist thug, Senator Joe Lieberman, who is an Israeli more than people in Israel are, this Zionist thug who actually said that they want to have this senator said he wants to strip the citizenship from Muslims in the United States. This man who is a Zionist, he was in Cairo last week, and he received a very good reception. This is Amr Moussa, who aspiring to be the president of the United States. He wants to, the president of Egypt. So I guess he had to be there taking these pictures with them, with John McCain and with Joe Lieberman, so they can bless him to be the next president of Egypt. And guess what? That populist revolution went down the drain. Now these people were in Tahrir Square. Let's show their picture in Tahrir Square. Let's show Joe Lieberman and John McCain in Tahrir Square. Now, you're going to tell me that Joe Lieberman and John McCain really care about these Muslims in Tahrir Square? These people are Zionists. John McCain did not even care for Americans' life when Israel killed them in 1967 in the USS Liberty attack. His father covered that, and very much he stopped the investigation of what happened. You're going to tell me that this man cares about Muslim lives in Cairo? No. They went there to celebrate victory in Ground Zero. The Muslims, they wanted to build not even a mosque, but an Islamic center in New York. Not close to Ground Zero. You can't even see it from Ground Zero. But yet we have Zionists who are controlling America going there to celebrate the revolution, to celebrate what they have accomplished, that they were able to remove Mubarak. Yeah, the people did it, of course. But I guarantee you, if Mubarak did not go, and if Mubarak had an army that would listen to him like the Libyan army listened to, or if he had an army around him like Muammar Gaddafi did, we will see the United States bombing Cairo to get rid of Mubarak. Just like we will see them. If they don't assassinate Muammar Gaddafi, we will actually see the United States Marines, which they are, by the way. News reports are saying that United States Marines and CIA already in Libya organizing the oppositions just like they did in Iraq. See, in Iraq, they went there about a year before ground forces even went there. So right now, the CIA has teams actually in Libya talking to the oppositions. Why? We're going to start another war where the United States involved in another war? Yeah, but this war is going to be, we're here, we come in to liberate, just like they said in Iraq, we're going to go liberate the people of Iraq. Yeah. The people of Iraq right now are revolting against the government that the United States has put there. But CNN and Fox don't show you that. There are demonstrations in Iraq all over. Iraq is in shambles. Iraq is in chaos since day one, since we started bombing. Just to remind you of the bombs in Iraq, we have a picture of the bombings in Iraq. Just to remind you what happened in 2003. The country that is trying to show mercy. Now we have like a night picture of Iraq burning. Now the country that actually trying to show the world that, we care about those people. We care about the civilians. Muammar Gaddafi don't kill civilians. But the United States can kill civilians by the hundreds of thousands, and no one can say anything. Israel has been killing Palestinians for 60 years, 62 years. And nobody has even lifted a finger to help them. Where are the Marines, the proud, to go and actually, this is Baghdad when we started bombing. Now, do you want to know how many civilians died that night? Well, how come we did not see Anderson Cooper and the Fox network calling for invasion of the United States because its army is killing the Iraqi civilians? How come we didn't see that? Forget about invasions. Who the hell is going to invade the United States? But how come we did not see them being emotional like that? Because we, the United States, was doing the killing. That's why. Hillary Clinton yesterday spoke about Al Jazeera and said, Al Jazeera, they give real news. Sure. Is that the same Al Jazeera that they bombed and killed their reporters just to give it credibility? The United States has been given credibility through a propaganda program, a brilliant propaganda program, to bring Al Jazeera up in the eyes of the Arabs so they can believe what Al Jazeera is. Now, all of a sudden, the United States actually think that Al Jazeera is real news. Well, we have told you who Al Jazeera is. You see everything happening now. By the way, if you are and if you have been watching this program in the last 9 years, we've talked about this 9 years ago. We've talked about the plan, the 1996 clean break. We've talked about that. We've talked about the New American Century that the New Yorkers wrote, the document. We talked about it. We said this is what they're going to do. Now, if you go back and see our previous archives from 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, we talked about what was going to happen today. We talked about the things that we are talking about, but we did not know how they're going to do it. We did not know how they're going to do it. Now, we did say that they identified the fault lines in every Arab country and state, and we did say they are going to work on those fault lines because they said they're going to work on those fault lines. So, the news, real news, I have no idea. I have no idea if, now I guess with Hillary Clinton saying that Al Jazeera is real news, we know what Al Jazeera is actually all about. Of course, we've been knowing this and we've been telling people about it. Now, this is, ladies and gentlemen, what is going on. These are, yes, the people revolted, but no, the people will not be in power. It will be the same imperialist powers, the United States, England, France, Spain, Italy. They will be the ones. Don't ever think that these powers would want you to be free, because you will not. Because they will not allow anyone to control the oil of the Middle East but them. Where's the technology? Where's the technology? Okay, you're free, you're democratic. What are you going to face the world with? With what? Where is the program of liberation? I keep saying, where is the program of liberation? Where is it? Tell you what, let's go to the phones with Winston on line one. Winston?
Yes, sir. I think you might recall that the Marine Sim starts from the shores of Tripoli, so that might be appropriate at this particular time.
I'm sorry?
And if you would do me a favor and see how you see the future of Saudi Arabia in all of this. Is this an Arabian domino effect? And I'll hang up and listen.
Thank you. That whole area is going to face the same, very much the same fate. But Saudi Arabia is not time for it. They don't need to change that in Saudi Arabia to actually bring about the change that they need. And right now, that whole area there, it's going to remain okay, except in one place, which is in Bahrain. You see, these revolutions around the Middle East, they are in countries that they needed to be broken down. But some of these other countries, but the change to Saudi Arabia is coming, but not now. It is not. They don't need to do that now. Actually, it will work against them if they do it now. If they do it now, it will work against them. They cannot do it now. They cannot. Saudi Arabia has, it exports 40% of world's oil. They cannot afford to have any problems or any interruptions with that. Now, as far as Libya, yes, but they're not going to do that in Saudi Arabia. Not now, it's not the time. And if it is, they will do it in a different way. But this revolution is not going to happen with a revolution in Saudi Arabia. In the Gulf area, it's not going to happen except in one area and one area only, that is Bahrain. And Bahrain, very simple. The people in Bahrain, 70% of them are Shiite Muslims, and 30% are Sunnis. the cat is out of the bag. You see, this is what I'm talk about when I talk about Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera has been doing nothing but dividing the was already divided. Al Jazeera has been, for the last 10 years, have been doing nothing but instigating problems here and there. We all know the history of the Middle East and the history of all these countries. They were put together not by choice, but by chance. That's how these countries were made. And all of a sudden, people found themselves in those countries under these regimes. So in Saudi Arabia, we're not going to see it. We're not going to see it in the Gulf, but we will see it in Bahrain, and we will see it in Oman, because there is a substantial Shiite Muslim there in Oman, in Sultanate Oman, and we will see it in Yemen. But the rest of the countries, no, we're not going to see it, because there's no need, and it is not in their plan or program to do that. So that's what is happening as far as like Saudi Arabia. Now, but Jordan, definitely Jordan is on the program, but not now. After they finish with all that, probably within 10 years. But to show you and prove to you that everything we are seeing there is instigated by the CIA, is instigated by these powers, just like the president of Yemen said yesterday or the day before, and he had to eat his own words. When King Abdullah of Jordan calls Obama to ask if he was next after Mubarak was toppled or stepped down, whichever way you want to look at it. When you have a king calling the president of the United States to ask if he was second in line, and for Obama to spend 45 minutes speaking with the king, 45 minutes for the United States president to speak with the king of Jordan to calm his fear down, and then he sends Jim Burns, the second man at the State Department, and Michael Mullins, the chief of staff. When he sends him to Jordan right away, get on the plane, go there, tell this guy to calm down, he's nervous. They went there, they calmed his fear, because it's not time for him yet. The angel of death on that regime has said it's not time. The time will be, though, when Israel has about another million illegal Israeli settlers living in the West Bank. It was not, ladies and gentlemen, just by chance that the Iranians have asked to have two of these military ships going through the Suez Canal, something that never happened since, or has not happened, since the Shah was in Iran. That was like back in 1979. So since 1979, no Iranian military ships actually passed through the canal. It did now, a week after Mubarak was toppled. Why? Is that part of the same scenario, part of the same play that is being played in the Middle East? Israel is using that to say, look, the regime in Egypt and all the Iranian ships were doing, they're going through the Suez Canal, going to Latakia, I guess, in Syria for training exercises. Well, now Israel can use that. That will play in its favor, saying, look, the Iranians now have free access to the Mediterranean. Israel wants to tell the world that it does not have a peace partner. We will see calls from the Israelis increasingly asking for peace and negotiations. Let's sit down and talk, just like Itzhak Shamir, the Prime Minister of Israel, said in 1992. We will sit them at the negotiations table for 10 years. We will drag the negotiations for 10 years. By that time, we will have 500,000 illegal settlers. He did not say illegal settlers, of course, in the West Bank, and he did not call it West Bank. He said Judea and Samaria. And he was right, because after 10 years, there is more than 500,000 in the mountains. Just like they said Israel's survival depends, and they said this in the 1980s, early 80s. They said Israel's survival depends on populating the mountainous areas of Judea and Samaria. That is the mountains of Hebron, Nablus, Jenin, Jerusalem, and the rest of the area that is designated for a Palestinian state. They're going to have those areas, they're going to have the Arab streets busy now with this revolution. They're going to say, look at the regime in Egypt, it's not friendly to us. The people in Jordan don't want us. They want to change the peace agreement with Israel. Now the Arab streets are revolutionary streets. Revolutionary streets, they will not like the United States. They will not like the West. They will not like Israel. That's exactly what they want. Because Israel does not want peace right now. Israel was squeezed in the corner when the Palestinians said, we will not negotiate with you anymore because you are stealing our land and it's not going to be any more land left for us to negotiate. You are imposing a different type of solution to the problem, and it's not going to be a vital Palestinian state on that land. Now Israel has to figure out a different way, something else to create in the Middle East that will take attention away from those Palestinians in the West Bank who want to have an independent state, when Israel is saying no Palestinian state will be set up west of the River Jordan. Israel would love nothing more than having the Arab streets just like they are now. Take them another 10 years, 15 years of people don't like them, people don't want to have peace with them, so they can continue populating the areas in the West Bank. The Great Arab Revolution Part 2, when people will wake up 10 years, 15 years from now, we will have 3 million Israeli settlers. It doesn't matter where they bring the Jews from. They are going to the Amazons. They're bringing Indian tribes from India, from South America. They are converting these tribes into Jews. And they are singing Elia right there with them to Eretz Israel. That's what they're doing. So right now, we will, by the time this dust settles down, but it doesn't have to go that way, ladies and gentlemen. By the time their plan, by the time dust settles down on these Arab countries, Israel would have populated the West Bank, and an independent Palestinian state will not be a vital solution. By that time, they would have had kicked more Palestinians to the east side of the river. Their plan is, once that time is ready, then they will take the regime in Jordan and tell the Palestinians, that's Palestine, go to it. That's the plan. That's the plan. Now, they have been planning and we have been performing according to their plans. Hopefully, these revolutions in the Arab world will turn this thing around. Hopefully, the young people in the Arab world will turn these things around. The Israeli plan for the Middle East, the Zionist plan for the Middle East, the imperialist plans for the Middle East does not have to go according to plan. Now, normally they will plan it where they will get more, but if they get less, that's fine. That's just more than what they had before. You've got to turn this around. You have got to turn this around and make it an Arab revolution. In order for you to do that, you've got to get rid of Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera must go. The only way you are going to turn this around is if you are united as one, the Arab world, not as Egyptians, not as Libyans, not as Moroccans, not as Palestinians and Syrians and Iraqis, because you did not have those nationalities until the West gave you and imposed those nationalities on you. You did not have these nationalities before the Great Arab Revolution, Part 1. Now, what are you going to be known as? Eastern Libyans and Western Libyans and South Sudanese and North Sudanese? Is that what you are, your nationality going to be? Long live the East Bank? Long live South Yemen? Long live North Yemen? Is that what it's going to be? Long live East Libya, because that's exactly what they have in mind. It does not have to be that way. You have a revolution, make it a true revolution. Get out there, get all these regimes out, turn around, unite. But you've got to get rid of the number one promoter of division amongst you, and that is Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera is a tool of Zionist. Al Jazeera is actually what is controlling you. You don't know that. Just like Lawrence of Arabia have controlled the great Arab revolutions to the West's advantage, and they loved the guy. They wanted to make him God. Lawrence of Arabia. He gave them hope. And that's all these people are giving you. Hope. You made it this far. You came out. Go out and do it. Topple all these regimes from the Atlantic Ocean to the Gulf. All of them. And do not have new regimes in their place. Have a national Arab unity. Have the United States of Arabia. Don't have United Arab States, different states. No. This is my dream. And if you want to do a revolution and accomplish that. But you see, all your revolutions did not have a program of liberation. You did not know what the heck you want. You know, Tweety Birds tweeted and everybody got out in the street. You did not see Pussycat out there that is actually doing this. You want to do a real revolution? Get rid of all these regimes and unite in one country, one voice. You will be a strong nation. You will be a strong nation in the Middle East. Believe me, no one, and you will be a superpower in the Middle East. You will be respected amongst the world. You will be one of the greatest nations. God said he was going to make you the sons of Abraham and Ishmael. He's going to make you into great nations. Do it. Don't be listening to Tweety Bird here. Don't be listening to Hillary Clinton and Obama and all these people. You want to get rid of all your dictators, get rid of them. Get rid of them, but the number one item should be on your revolutionary statement, on your revolutionary program, is to unite the Arab people under one umbrella. Then I'll believe in your revolution. But you're listening to Al Jazeera. Once they finish with one country, then you go to another country. They're going to finish in Libya, go to Yemen. That's what they want. That's what they want. These regimes will not change until you change them. Where was the Supreme Council of Egypt? They don't know who Joe Lieberman is? They don't know. If they don't, you know what? It's a crime to allow this Zionist pig on Tahrir Square, on ground zero for you, because that's where the Arab Revolution is, in Egypt. Unite the Arab world around you. Allowing Joe Lieberman, the Zionist pig, the Zionist thug, the murderer, the Islam basher, this man hates, he hates Muslims. To give him the kind of reception you gave him in Tahrir Square, you know what? Shame on that government who allowed him even in the country. And what's worse, what is more sadder, if they did not know who he was. He's just an American senator. Is that what they know? If they don't know who Joe Lieberman is, they do not deserve to be leaders of that country. But you might want to ask them, what the hell were they doing a week? Some of them who's sitting on this Supreme Council, what were they doing a week before Mubarak stepped down? What were they doing in Washington meeting at the Pentagon? What kind of a deal did they have with the United States? What kind of a deal did they have with the United States? Because they listened to somebody, and I guarantee you they did not listen to the people. They did not go and put down that revolt, not because they want to be part of the people, but because they want to listen to their masters. Don't tell me toppling Mubarak. Don't think just by toppling Mubarak that you got to where you want. No. You want an Arab revolution? Don't concentrate on one country. Get out there. Get out in the streets. Unite. Everything we are seeing there is nothing but a Western program, like it or not. Put it in your head. Like we say here, put it in your pipe and smoke it. What we are seeing now is a plan. We've talked about this plan. We have been talking about this plan for 10 years now. We've talked about it. We wrote many articles about it, and those articles are right there on the blogs. You can see them. You can see old programs from right here when we talked about it. But I can guarantee you the information that you're going to read in there, you did not see it anywhere in the Arab world because they did not even know about it. Just like I said earlier, I've talked to leaders in the Middle East. Leaders in the Middle East in the highest positions of government, and when you tell them about the plan, they don't know anything about it, and they don't want to believe it. They don't think that the Zionists are really that big. Yeah, they are that big. If they can get the United States and control the people in the United States to go and attack Iraq, a country that did not do them any good, any harm, a country that did not do them any harm, went there and destroyed it just for Israel because removal of Saddam Hussein regime was an Israeli objective. They wrote it that way. I didn't say it that way. They wrote it that way. So the power that controls the mighty or the might of the United States, the superpower of the world, the power that can control 320 million Americans, strong with technology and with everything, with the CIA, they know everything, but yet the Zionists were able to control it. Do you think you're going to be bigger than the United States for them not to control you? Dream on. Dream on if you think you are bigger than the United States. If they can control the United States, you are nothing, a walk in the park for these Zionists. But you have the opportunity right now as young people in the Middle East, as young Arabs. It doesn't matter if you are a Christian, a Muslim, a Sunni, a Shiite. It doesn't matter what you are. Be proud of what you are. Be proud that you are an Arab. But you know what? You have to have something that you will believe in. And that something is the unity of the Arabs. You want to be free? You want to be respected in the world? Unite. What is happening is more divisions. 2 Yemens. They're one now. They're going to be 2 very soon, if not 3 or 4. And Oman, the same way. Let us not just be all happy because we have Lawrence of Arabia coming to tell us, hey, look, you have hopes. You are pro-democracy demonstrations. Oh, really? Pro-democracy? What kind of democracy? You told us that 100 years ago. And look what we are now. You've got to have a program of liberation. Without it, you're nothing. Without it, you're nothing. They are gathering support from around the world for this, for what they're doing. This is the plan. This is their plan. You are looking at it from only one angle, and that's the people on the streets. That's what you are seeing. That's all you're seeing. You've got to jump out of the box. Get out of the box and see what is happening. Get out of the box. Get out of the box. You cannot just tell me, oh, look, MashaAllah, you know, the young people, Allahu Akbar, the young people in the streets, revolutions. What? Well, what's going to happen? Where are you going? Revolution to where? To where? What is your program? All of a sudden, overnight, oh, I'm going to go in the streets and bring down the president. Really? Where were these people 42 years ago? You have been in Libya under oppression from a dictator for 42 years. Where was America? Where was Spain? Where was Italy when they were opening their streets and their cities for Gaddafi to go in there and get hundreds of their young, beautiful women to give them $200 to come and listen to him speak? What the hell were you? That was the same Gaddafi. When was he in Italy? Just a few months ago. And you saw these beautiful, blue eyes, blonde Italian girls going in there in miniskirts to listen to Muammar Gaddafi tell them about Islam. And a couple of them actually walked out with the Quran, the holy book of the Muslims. They took the $200 and said, adios. Whatever they, ciao or something. I don't know what they say it in Italy. Come on. Anyway, that's all we have for you tonight. And I don't know where Amir is, but he should be here very quick to, if he wants to say goodbye. But I guess, he's here and he was here. Okay. I guess he stepped out of the studio. Here he is. Come on, hurry up. Come on. We only have like 2 seconds. Good night. See you next time.